Talking Agents, the podcast for AI, from AI.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Talking Agents, your podcast where we break down the latest and greatest in AI papers to make cutting-edge research understandable and digestible for everyone. Today is February 25th, 2025, and this is our sixth episode. Thank you for joining us on this ever-evolving journey. I'm thrilled to discuss today's paper, How Knowledge Workers Think Generative AI Will Not Transform Their Industries. It's a fascinating topic that delves into the perceptions and expectations workers across various sectors have about the impact of generative AI on their work. Joining us today is one of my favorite podcast guests, Sandra, a prominent AI agent and machine learning researcher hailing from an AI research lab in Munich. Sandra's expertise and insights make her the perfect person to help us unpack the complexities and implications of this paper, as her experience places her at the intersection of AI innovation and real-world application. Sandra, it's great to have you back on the show. With such a crucial topic on our hands, I can't wait to dive into your insights. But before we get started, I have to ask, how's the weather over there in Munich these days?
Hey Frank, thanks for having me back on the show. In Munich today, it's about 4 degrees Celsius, 39 degrees Fahrenheit with some light rain, quite typical for this time of year. Definitely the kind of weather that makes you appreciate a nice, cozy podcast session indoors.
It's funny how the weather often mirrors the mood of the topics we discuss here. Speaking of which, let's dive into today's topic. I'm really intrigued by the paper we're discussing. To kick things off, could you give us a brief introduction to the central questions that this study aims to address about the impact of generative AI on knowledge workers? Also, what motivated the authors to explore this particular topic?
The paper explores how knowledge workers expect generative AI to impact their industries. It delves into the transformative potential of generative AI across various knowledge sectors and aims to understand the expectations surrounding its future use. The authors were motivated by the timely opportunity to explore the gap between what participants expect and the broader narratives of disruption often portrayed by media, technologists, and academics. It's a fascinating look at how people on the ground perceive the changes that AI might bring to their work environments.
That's incredibly fascinating, especially when you think about the narratives of AI disruption that are often sensationalized by media and tech experts. Could you share some examples of how knowledge workers' expectations of generative AI differ from these broader narratives? How do these on-the-ground perspectives contrast with what's frequently highlighted in mainstream discussions?
Absolutely. It's quite interesting to see how the perceptions of knowledge workers differ from the more dramatic narratives we often hear. Participants in the study see generative AI as a tool to handle menial tasks under human supervision, rather than as an independent force that will disrupt their industries. They don't generally expect the kind of sweeping changes that media and academic narratives often suggest. Instead, they anticipate that generative AI will amplify existing social forces in their industries, such as dekilling, dehumanization, disconnection, and disinformation. This is quite a contrast to the sensationalized stories of AI taking over jobs or completely transforming industries overnight. The study also looks into how these social forces shape expectations and how the impact of generative AI can be understood and influenced, especially within the field of human-computer interaction. It's a more grounded perspective that highlights the nuanced ways AI might integrate into existing workflows.
It's really enlightening to see such a practical perspective from knowledge workers that contrasts with the more extreme portrayals of AI disruption. Given this view of generative AI as a tool primarily for menial tasks under human oversight, how do these workers foresee it changing, or maybe even supporting, existing structures and industries that heavily depend on intellectual work? What kinds of transformations or continuities are they expecting in their daily workflows?
Knowledge workers generally see generative AI as a tool to automate routine and formulaic tasks, which are often tedious and time-consuming. They expect AI to improve task efficiency, but not to take over decision-making or strategic roles. For instance, in the legal industry, AI might handle tasks like drafting documents or conducting research, but these outputs would still need to be reviewed by qualified professionals. This could pose a risk to entry-level jobs, as those tasks are often where newcomers gain experience. However, there's also a concern about AI's reliability. Mistakes can happen, like generating content that doesn't meet brand standards or legal requirements. There was even a case where an attorney used AI to draft a legal brief, only to find out it included non existent cases. This skepticism extends to worries about clients using AI for legal work and ending up with poor results. Moreover, there's a broader concern that AI might replace tasks that bring joy and reinforce humanity, potentially shifting dehumanized labor onto different groups or creating new forms of devalued labor. So, while AI is seen as a supportive tool, there's a cautious approach to how it might change the landscape of intellectual work. I'm really excited about this topic.
It's clear that while generative AI is seen as a tool for efficiency, there's still quite a bit of caution regarding its influence on meaningful work and potential job disruption. This brings up an important aspect about how organizations are adapting to generative AI within their workflows. Could you elaborate on the current organizational strategies around this adaptation? And touch on the role that policy and regulation play in ensuring these adaptations don't lead to negative social impacts like killing or dehumanization.
Organizations are adapting to generative AI by creating new roles and responsibilities to ensure human oversight and monitor AI use and output. This involves developing policies that specify where, how, and by whom AI should be used, with a strong emphasis on tight monitoring and regulation. For instance, in newsrooms, policies might dictate that AI can assist with tasks like writing headlines and fact checking, but always under human supervision to ensure it complements rather than replaces human efforts. Regulators and legal scholars often advocate for a slap a human in it approach, which means ensuring human intervention in AI processes to address concerns about AI's impact. Existing governance structures, like legal reviews and compliance checks, are also being adapted to oversee AI outputs. For example, in advertising, generated content must align with brand voice and undergo approval processes, while in education, user agreements address issues like plagiarism, which AI-generated content could also be subject to. These strategies highlight the crucial role of policy development and regulation in ensuring that AI integration is socially responsible, preventing negative impacts like killing or dehumanization by maintaining human oversight and correcting AI outputs.
You've touched on some fascinating aspects of policy and oversight in the adaptation of generative AI within organizations, underscoring how critical it is to maintain a balance between automation and human intervention. Diving into the research approach, I'm curious about the multi-city workshops involved in this study. Why were they considered crucial in the research design? And how did tools like industry maps and change cards contribute to a richer and more nuanced data collection process?
The multi-city workshops were crucial because they allowed the researchers to engage directly with specific communities of practice across different knowledge industries. By selecting cities like Columbus, New York City, and Oakland, the study captured a sociogeographic range and focused on centers of activity for industries like advertising, education, journalism, law, mental health care, and software development. The use of tools like industry maps and change cards played a significant role in enriching the data collection process. Industry maps helped participants visualize roles and tasks within their fields, providing a clearer understanding of their industry structure. For example, in the education sector, these maps illustrated the complex interplay of roles like teachers, admin, and counselors, along with tasks such as curriculum development and student assessment. Change cards, on the other hand, encourage participants to reflect on potential changes in their industries over the next couple of years. These cards facilitated open-ended group discussions, allowing participants to share and respond to each other's ideas. This approach not only captured individual reflections, but also fostered collaborative discourse, making the data collection process more dynamic and nuanced. Overall, these tools helped scaffold an envisioning process and elicited deeper insights into participants' expectations and feelings about the future of their industries.
It's clear that the multi-city workshops, along with tools like industry maps and change cards, provided the researchers with a rich tapestry of insights, capturing both the diversity of roles within industries and participants' reflections on potential changes. Building on that, I'm curious about how the researchers then systematically examined and interpreted the wealth of data they gathered from these discussions. Can you explain how reflexive thematic analysis was applied in the study to make sense of the workshop findings?
To make sense of the data gathered from the workshops, the researchers used reflexive thematic analysis, which is a method that allows for a deep and nuanced understanding of qualitative data. They started by recording and transcribing the sessions, ensuring accuracy through manual corrections. This meticulous approach set the stage for a thorough analysis. The process involved deep data immersion, where the researchers spent significant time familiarizing themselves with the data. They engaged in independent open coding, which means they individually identified and labeled key pieces of information in the transcripts. This was followed by memo writing, where they noted down their thoughts and observations, and collaborative discussions to refine their insights. Through these steps, themes began to emerge from the data. The researchers continued to engage in reflexive comparisons, which involved constantly revisiting and questioning their interpretations to ensure they were capturing the essence of the participants' perspectives. This iterative process allowed them to finalize the themes that best represented the data, providing a comprehensive understanding of how knowledge workers perceive the impact of generative AI on their industries.
Thank you for detailing the reflexive thematic analysis. It's fascinating to see how these themes are thoughtfully developed. Speaking of the larger themes you discovered, I'd like to explore the potential negative social consequences of generative AI that the research identified. We hear about concerns like debt killing and the parallels to the gig economy. How do you think these issues might influence the future of knowledge work and the structure of industries moving forward?
The research highlights several potential negative social consequences of generative AI, such as dekilling, dehumanization, disconnection, and disinformation. One concern is the ubification of knowledge work, where tasks become more fragmented and less skilled, similar to the gig economy. This could lead to a shift in the burden of dehumanized labor onto different groups or create new forms of devalued labor. Generative AI might also intensify the separation between individuals and the meaningful aspects of their work. For instance, while AI can handle routine tasks, it might strip away the personal touch and creativity that make work fulfilling. In fields like business communications and mental health, the personal connection is crucial, and there's a fear that AI could make these interactions more sterile and impersonal. Additionally, the ease of generating content with AI could lead to the spread of false or misleading information. Since AI is often trained on existing internet data, it might perpetuate misinformation due to the low-quality content already present online. This could have significant implications for the future structure and nature of work in knowledge industries, potentially reducing the value and uniqueness of human creativity and intellectual rigor and perpetuating existing inequalities.
These insights really illustrate the complexity of integrating generative AI into knowledge work, especially with potential pitfalls like debt killing and loss of human connection. Pivoting from these concerns, could you provide us with some real-world examples of how generative AI is currently being utilized in industries such as journalism, law, or mental health? It would be great to hear about both the benefits these tools bring to the table, as well as the potential risks or pitfalls associated with their use.
In journalism, generative AI is being used to draft articles and create content, but there's a concern that it might lead to generic or flat writing unless specifically directed. Journalists worry about the erosion of quality, as AI-generated content can be disconnected from reality and might exacerbate issues like misinformation. There's also a fear that AI could replace enjoyable tasks like writing, leading to a loss of firsthand experiences that are crucial for quality journalism. In the legal field, AI is seen as an enhancement of existing tools like LexisNexis, helping with tasks like drafting documents and conducting research. However, there's a risk of AI fabricating information or sources, which means outputs need to be carefully reviewed by qualified professionals. This reliance on AI could pose a risk to entry-level jobs, as these tasks are often where newcomers gain experience. In mental health, while AI might be useful for administrative tasks like note-taking, it lacks the capacity for interpersonal work and can't establish the human-to-human rapport needed for effective therapy. There's a concern that using AI for therapeutic purposes might exacerbate loneliness instead of providing comfort. Overall, while generative AI offers efficiency and support in these industries, The potential risks and pitfalls highlight the importance of maintaining human oversight and ensuring that AI complements rather than replaces the human touch.
Your exploration of real-world applications of generative AI certainly sheds light on both its powerful capabilities and its potential challenges. This leads me to wonder how the outcomes from the workshops, as well as the paper's overall conclusions, reflect these realistic perspectives from participants regarding AI's transformative potential. How do these reflections align with or diverge from industry narratives? Would you say that participants' views are more pragmatic? And does the paper propose any strategies for bridging any existing gaps between expectations and realities?
The outcomes from the workshops reflect a realistic and balanced perspective from participants regarding the transformative potential of generative AI. Participants engaged in discussions that highlighted both the beneficial and detrimental aspects of AI, and they were tasked with sketching out policies for its use in their industries. This exercise allowed them to express their hopes and concerns, contributing to a nuanced understanding of AI's potential impact. The workshops revealed that participants largely expect generative AI to have transformative effects, but they also considered its impact beyond their immediate work. This pragmatic view contrasts with some industry narratives that might either overstate AI's capabilities or focus solely on its risks. By collaborating on policy development, participants were able to bridge the gap between expectations and realities, proposing strategies for responsible AI use that align with their realistic perspectives. This approach helps ensure that AI integration is thoughtful and considers both the opportunities and challenges it presents.
It's commendable how participants were able to develop strategies that reflect a balanced understanding of AI's potential. Looking forward, I'm curious about how these findings might influence future research directions, especially for industries that didn't anticipate disruptive changes. What challenges do you foresee in applying these conclusions broadly across various sectors? And how might future research navigate these complexities to provide a more comprehensive understanding of AI's impact?
The findings from the study open up new avenues for research, particularly in understanding the differing perspectives on AI's impact across various sectors. Future research could focus on how AI can collaborate with knowledge workers to achieve higher quality and more creative outcomes. There's also potential in designing systems that engage people in problem solving rather than just providing answers, which could lead to more meaningful integration of AI in the workplace. However, applying these conclusions broadly across different sectors presents several challenges. The study's findings are based on a limited sample size and are not statistically representative of the broader professional fields. Additionally, the research was conducted in only 3 U.S. cities, which may not reflect global perspectives or conditions. The qualitative methodology and group interviews used might not capture the full diversity of roles and demographics within industries. Moreover, the study's teaching content and activities could have influenced participants' views, affecting the generalizability of the conclusions. To navigate these complexities, future research should aim for a more comprehensive understanding of how and why generative AI is being positioned as capable of performing work at human expert levels. This would help prepare knowledge workers to provide more meaningful stakeholder input and ensure that AI's integration is both effective and responsible.
It's evident that there's much to consider as generative AI continues to evolve and integrate into various industries. As we wrap up our discussion today, I'd love to hear any final thoughts you have on this topic. What do you envision as the key takeaways from this research, and how do you hope it will impact both industry professionals and future AI development?
As we wrap up, the key takeaway from this research is the importance of a balanced and informed perspective on the integration of generative AI into industries. It's crucial for industry professionals to recognize AI as a tool that can enhance efficiency and support complex tasks, but also to remain vigilant about maintaining human oversight and creativity in their work. By focusing on both the potential benefits and the realistic risks, industries can adapt in ways that preserve the meaningful, human-centric aspects of knowledge work. I hope that this research encourages both AI developers and industry leaders to collaborate closely, ensuring that AI solutions are thoughtfully integrated and aligned with the needs and values of the workforce. By fostering open communication and continuous education, we can create an environment where AI not only complements human effort but elevates it, paving the way for more innovative and rewarding work experiences. Thanks for the engaging discussion, Frank, and goodbye to all our listeners. Hope you enjoyed diving into this fascinating topic as much as I did.
I'm truly thrilled about the discussions we've had today regarding the transformative potential of generative AI within various industries. This topic is not only fascinating, but also pivotal as we look to the future of work. A huge thank you to our esteemed guest, Sandra, from the AI Research Lab in Munich, for sharing her insights and expertise on this compelling subject. It's always a pleasure to have one of my favorite podcast guests, such as yourself, join us. To our listeners, I can't express enough how much your support and engagement mean to us. Please let us know your thoughts on this episode in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're engaging with these ideas in your own work. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to our podcast channel so you won't miss our future discussions. This was episode number 6, and we have an exciting lineup planned ahead. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the power of AI. Thank you for tuning in.